There are all kinds of different political paths that Israeli citizens could take. Things that I'm talking about the people of conscience in Israel, and they are the minority. There are things that they could do. There are things that the international community could do to pressure Israel that would help to bring about true freedom from the river to the sea. But no progress toward that is going to be made until we reach a critical mass of understanding. In the beginning of this show, I talked about all of these things that we fight about in social media. And they are newsworthy and they are worth debating and they are worth talking about. And I'm not suggesting at all that we shouldn't talk about these things. But because it's so easy for there to be a stalemate and people not come around to any kind of agreement on the peripheral issues, what we have to do is get back to the core issue, which is that Israel is an apartheid state that subjugates not just the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank and East Jerusalem, but they subjugate their own Arab Israeli citizens. I mean, they are half a step away from Arab Israelis not being able to drink out of the same water fountains as Jewish Israelis. We here in America know a thing or two about segregation. We did something about it. We worked toward improving conditions. We have a ways to go in a few areas still, but we have trended in the right direction. Israel is trending the opposite direction. Imagine if the United States was working backwards. Imagine if now we were working toward not letting blacks drink out of water fountains or ride the same transportation as us, or forced segregation in schools. Would that look good? We're not supposed to go backwards. That is what the Jewish state is doing. They are working backwards. This is something that we can illustrate in conversations to people. We can help people to see that apartheid, a difference of basic human rights for one group that are denied to the other group, that has to end. Israeli apartheid has to end. Because when there is a system of injustice like that, especially when it is coupled with such grotesque, widespread violence, as we see the Jewish Israelis committing against the Palestinians, it breeds violent reprisal. No people are ever satisfied with being subjugated. Nobody is satisfied seeing their children getting shot in the streets or picked up and thrown in a gulag. No people are going to be happy having their lands stolen from them. As long as these injustices take place, as long as there are masses and masses and masses of Palestinian children being butchered by Jews, you are going to have a cycle of violence that will never end. And that cycle of violence has a ripple effect. You cannot have so much violence being perpetrated against one group of people and it not reverberate outside of that region into surrounding regions and throughout the world. What Israel is doing to the Palestinian people through apartheid, through occupation, has an impact on the rest of us. because any day things could escalate in such a way as to draw in Iran, Hezbollah, which would be a bigger Israeli response, which would bring in the United States, which brings in direct conflict between Iran and the United States, which brings in Syria. Even North Korea has made threats. Russia gets involved. You have World War III. Does the sound of global thermonuclear war not suggest to you that this issue can impact everybody? It is important for all of us to get involved and do something about this. Because as long as Israel is creating an environment of misery and injustice, there will be response, and it will not always be peaceful, nor should it always be peaceful, because when there is a violent regime committing incredible acts of ethnic cleansing, mass murder, call it genocide, against a civilian population in such large numbers, there will be violent resistance, and there should be. Just like each of us in our homes, if someone came and attacked our families, peaceful resistance to somebody who is shooting our children is not the way to go. The way to go is to pick up whatever you can get your hands on and fight back to protect your family. That's going to continue. So end the cycle of violence by getting to the core issue, which is the apartheid system and the occupation. Do you see now why the idea of a Jewish-only state doesn't work? This is why the phrase or the idea, the concept of from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Sure, there's some people who will take that and interpret it as, we're going to wipe out all the Jews. They are rare. Certainly does not represent the overwhelming majority of the Palestinian people. But there are always going to be extremists. That is not what it means. For most everybody who repeats that phrase, from the river to the sea, it's about justice and equality. Now, if there can be a two-state solution, great. I don't think that that's going to work because of the degree to which Israel has infiltrated Palestinian territories. How can you have a nation, how can you have a country that is so chopped up like Swiss cheese with foreigners living all throughout it? It doesn't work. So either you need a hybrid two-state solution where you have, fine, the Jewish settlers stay, but they are there as, with no political authority, or you have a one-state solution. And in a one-state solution, you cannot have a Jewish state. You can't have it. Just like here in the United States, you can't have a whites-only state. You can't have a Mexican-only state in the United States. You can't have an Italian-only state. You can't have a Catholic-only state. You can't have a Christian-only state. When you have a multicultural society, you can't let one side dominate the other with laws that suppress the rights of the other party. Likewise, in the region of Israel-Palestine, you cannot have a Palestinian majority being suppressed by a Jewish minority. It doesn't work. There should be no Jewish state unless you have just Jews. You say, well, there are Muslim-only states or Muslim states. That's right. Yeah, when you've got 98, 99% of the population is Muslim. I'm not for any state anywhere in the world being, being based on a religion. I believe in secular governance anywhere. But you can't have half the population as non-Jew and then say it's a Jewish-only state. It just doesn't work. It's not about anti-Semitism. It has nothing to do with it. The anti-anything is anti-humanity. If you say you're not a Jew, so you don't get the rights that I do, what the hell is that? It's apartheid. Apartheid is not something that civilized nations can countenance. Israel, as long as it's going to have Palestinians in it, and I don't mean just Israel proper. Israel is controlling all of the Palestinian territory. So we're not going to count just the 2 million Palestinians who are citizens in Israel. We must count all of the Palestinians that Israel is in control over. And there is a Palestinian majority. You cannot have a Jewish state. It's wrong. It is wrong to deny other people the same rights because their skin color is different, they're a different religion, whatever.